So big news coming out right now. Canelo Alvarez, as I expected, will be working with Jaime Munguia. They're actually working right now in the gym. I'm hearing that they're working together in San Diego in California. And I knew that Jaime Munguia was going to reach out to Canelo because he's not a guy who's uppity. He's going to work with certain people if he needs to, especially if he has a direct line to a guy like Canelo Alvarez. And, Canelo Alvarez has never really shot down anybody as far as working with them in some cases, as far as I know, and especially Mexican fighters, which he usually works with, Latino, Cuban, Dominican, most of those fighters. A lot of guys I've seen him work with, Jonathan Lopez, who's going to be fighting very soon. I think it's going to be on the undercard of Tank Davis. But Jonathan Lopez is a guy who's also been working with Canelo Alvarez's team, but he's like directly under those guys. Munguia, he's just training with him, and Canelo Alvarez has been reaching out and making himself available to a lot of fighters, and that's something that a lot of people have great things to say about him. He's always open. There's not a lot of fighters in the business that'll be willing to put their time to the side to actually work with certain people as much as you would realize that. A lot of people think that a lot of fighters will just reach out, especially Mexican fighters. I haven't seen too many people in the game that was Mexican fighters working with a lot of guys at once, like how Jaime Munguia and Canelo is doing, or how Canelo does with Ryan Garcia and Andy Ruiz. Just a lot of people that he's worked with over the years. So I'm not really surprised by this. I actually expected it. But I didn't expect it to happen now. I only expected it to happen because Munguia took the loss. He was actually looking towards trying to get a rematch and position himself for a fight. But now that he sees that that's going to be very hard, knowing that the things he has to deal with in the future, Bruno Shiraz, and I'm a very big fan of Jaime Munguia. I think that he brings a lot to the table as far as his mindset. He's a dog. I feel like him taking 4 fights last year, that was a dog mentality. That's I'm not a hard guy to please as far as being a boxing fan. I just want guys to take the toughest challenges they can and make themselves available. Try to fight as much as you can and try to take the toughest fights. And I think that Jaime Munguia has done that. He's shown me things that I've seen behind the scenes that let me know that he's a top fighter in the game, even after his loss and his knockout. That happens, man, in boxing. If he was the guy like Astor Slave who got knocked out by Lucas Body, then it'll be a different case. People will be trolling him. But he's getting a pass on this one, which is, something that's expected. That's why I had to call out things the way I did. I had to call it down the line because if anybody else would have got knocked down in their home country like that by a guy that nobody knew and he was a 160, they would have kept that same kind of energy. But I didn't feel like a lot of people were being fair. That's why a lot of fighters don't really feel like they lost after certain fights because they're not really criticized. And not that I'm trying to make them feel like they lost or nothing, but you just have to call a spade a spade. If you're going to sit around and criticize everyone else who gets knocked out or doesn't, especially against a guy that nobody knows, that's definitely going to be a situation where you need to call that out. But when you don't, you lose. You don't have any integrity. So Canelo Alvarez, he was a person that Munguia was not fond of last year, saying that he carried him in the fight. Did Canelo carry him? I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like Canelo carried him because what Munguia was doing in the fight when he got up, it was what he should have been doing from the beginning. And what he did before he got knocked out is what he should have did at the end. Knocked down by Canelo in the fight. So I didn't feel like he got blown out. I actually felt like the fight was closer between him and Canelo. A lot of people feel like the Berlanga fight was closer, but I feel like it was close. But I like when Canelo does this. He's worked with many guys over the years. I don't know if he had just a super open door policy, but I've seen a lot of Mexican fighters, Latinos, guys from Cuba, all over the place. Frank Sanchez, they have a lot of guys around that's worked with Canelo over the years. So this is something that doesn't surprise me, but it's just a training session. It's not something that's where he's going to be in there, Team Eddie Reynoso or whatever, as far as I know. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if, as far as I know, Jaime Munguia is still working with Eric Morales, but I've heard some other things too recently that I forgot to put out. You know, so much news that come out, but I'll just go ahead and say it. Oscar De La Hoya was saying some things about maybe he should try to look. He felt like he should have stayed with Freddie Roach. He kind of moved away too fast. But Oscar has to realize Freddie Roach instructions was not about more so just working longer with Jaime Munguia over the time. He was talking about, man, we need to wait like 2 or 3 fights probably before we fight Canelo Alvarez. And the style that Munguia was kind of getting, and I'm going to explain this. The way Munguia, the best rounds that Munguia was fighting in the fight with Canelo, those were the rounds that Freddie Roach, that's the way he wanted him to box. But the rounds where Munguia was just letting his hands go, that was Munguia being Munguia. And that was a big reason why he lost the fight. That's why sometimes people don't understand when you say wait 2 or 3 fights. And they're like, why? Why should somebody wait 2 or 3 fights? And now people are talking about Morrell, a rematch, maybe in 2 or 3 fights, a couple of fights down the road. Exactly. Like I said. And then they'll say, well, Munguia, you know, look how he got knocked down by the guy, Bruno Shiraz. Yeah, but you got to understand, 2 or 3 fights matters. It does. That showed the Canelo performance. I thought that was decent. But the Bruno Shiraz situation and the Eric Bazian fight, I felt like he needs to probably deal with Freddie Roach because he got outboxed in that fight. You know, most of these fights he's gotten outboxed without the knockdowns, and not at a bad situation. Just he's getting hit way too much. I felt like in the Derevyanchenko fight, he was getting hit way too much. I like the style that he was throwing though, very accurate with the shots. That's something that Eric Morales was showing him. Letting his hands go, being a lot more active, pumping that jab. But when he started working with Freddie Roach, you just seen something different. So that's what I like. I like what he was doing with Freddie Roach, but maybe we'll see something different, man. Maybe Canelo has seen something in the past that he's noticed that Munguia needs to work on. He's been in the ring with him. So this is the best person you can work with, honestly. But we'll see in the future, man, what happens. But this is definitely something I'm not surprised by. I expected this to happen.